So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you're listening to this. This is our annual, I think it's like what, fourth annual now? Yes, Super Bowl Sunday special. And in true Super Bowl Sunday special fashion, this is taking place after the Super Bowl, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first time we did this, it was on the day of, right? And then, like, we wrapped up before the halftime show even started, right? But yes, folks, this is our Super Bowl Sunday special. So as you see here, we're gonna structure things, both like, how, a Super Bowl match is done with quarters and halftime shows and all that good stuff. But then also too in terms of the format, right, of how we're gonna do things, right? So we're gonna split things up into 4 videos. So each video, or I should say, one video in particular is going to relate to the stuff that took place last night at the time of us recording. Mainly, the halftime show, which of course we have to talk about, and a few trailers that, I, at least in my case, I saw after the fact, right? But yeah, everything before that, or I should say everything preceding that and coming after that, will just be shows that we were meaning to touch on, but we just didn't get the chance to, right? So, right. Ricardo, you're going to kick things off with the first quarter, if you will. So, yeah, you're going to talk about Nioh 3, which just do a little quick preamble. I saw IGN give a 9 out of 10 to, and I was like, okay, well, it that hard though. So, okay, because I genuinely can't wait for you to give your review of it. Because I know you are Nioh, stan, right? You are Nioh fan, true and true, right? Afterwards, you'll talk about season 2 of Fallout, which unfortunately I did not get a chance to see because I was just so busy. Same thing goes with Send Help, which I was really excited to see in theaters, but I just didn't get the chance, right? And then I will come in at the end of this video to talk about The Perfect Neighbor, which is a Netflix documentary that came out last year. But the reason why I want to talk about it is because it is currently nominated for Best Documentary Feature, and rightfully so, in my opinion, right? So, Ricardo, you have the floor. Nioh 3, Fallout Season 2, Send Help, and then I will jump in to talk about Perfect Neighbor. So, yeah, take it away.
Nioh 3. So they basically... Nioh 2, in my humble opinion, is one of my favorite games ever. It's a borderline masterpiece, if not a straight-up masterpiece, action RPG masterpiece. But the one thing the game kind of never really get into, and this is where this addresses the open-endedness of it, right? Back in Nioh 2, I have a ton of hours and time. Master, and they basically address my wish list of what I always wanted for Nioh 3. Just really solid outings, smart storytelling, and it just had me get it into my bag of what the new game should be. And yeah, they basically address the two main things. Nioh, one of the big holdbacks on Nioh for me was no jump, no navigation. You have to run up to higher planes. And to be fair, the designers of the game, the devs of the game, addresses by having really decent, workable at least level design. So you could just, it's slow slopes, so you get a good illusion of navigation. But it's really noticeable at times when you can't jump. And they introduced a jump button this time, so you could actually navigate and jump and move around. And because I basically kind of just wanted Ninja Gaiden, right? Instead of just this whole not jumping, you have to rely on ladders kind of nonsense. And then the second thing is open world. Ever since Elden Ring, I always wanted an open world in the game. Something that could just have my big open hub, keep things open, and we also get that in this open, what you call open regions. So you have open regions, but then you have to get a section of there's a kind of closed off level on its own, so they balance it reasonably well. And then you have to explore and get all your little side stuff with the side content, and then the combat. They change a bunch of things in the combat, which is really, really solid stuff. The problem is that we'll have to wait probably a year, at least a year, to get all the full content. So I'm not sure how the combat will fill out entirely to judge it properly. But they made some really big changes to the combat system. The biggest one I'll say is what we call the magic system. They merged that with what they call the soul core system from 2. So you have to collect soul cores to do magic, and you have a yin and yang system with respect to a particular soul core, and the yin system allows you to do a magical spell in relation to that core, and the yang system allows you to just do a summoning of the core. So it is one or the other. And so it's an interesting like beat onto its own right. With respect to that, it's like all right, that's a kind of interesting like take on the material. And again, I'll have to judge the game in the long run. I haven't finished the game yet, but I played it and just kind of still learning the ropes of it because I'm mostly accustomed, still kind of just getting out of the custom of Nioh 2. And there's a reason I kind of didn't really get into Nioh 2 as much as I wish to. For some simple reasons because, yeah, all the content didn't come out yet and I kind of was waiting for that to happen. And kind of because of the Fallout 2 TV show, so the Fallout Season 2 TV show get me into a bag for Fallout, getting back into Fallout 4, and I've just played a bunch of Fallout 4 over instead of Neo 3, surprisingly, because of that. But yeah, that's about it. Neo 3, good rating. Yeah, I give it, yeah, like a 9 out of 10. They deserve that. Well, so far at least. All the weapons are there. They didn't really introduce new weapons yet, but hopefully that'll come with the DLC, which is usually the case with this franchise. We'll get extra content, new bosses. The demo had a nice little chunk of content to build from, and then they could carry a character over, which is what I did. And yeah, I don't know. Like it's so far, it's worth it. It looked like it's going to be better than the second one. The second one is still better right now because it have a bunch of changes that people didn't get accustomed to. So I see people complaining too easy or whatever it is. But it's like, nah, when the game getting rolling properly and they have all the systems come together, yeah, the open world system not gelling right yet, and I still don't think the jump is great. But then again, Ninja Gaiden's jump wasn't great either, and it's basically Ninja Gaiden's jump, so it's fine. I mean, it not bother me too much. The combat is as amazing as usual. You have to do air combos and they could jump around and do all kind of wild shit. And they have the big sticking point of the new system now is what they call the Samurai Ninja system, where you could switch. You're basically controlling two characters at once, and you could switch between them when you want to. In the first game, it was one character entirely. In the second game, you had one character, but then it was like a demon mode you could switch to. And then in this one, it's just two characters separately, which is a samurai ninja system. Samurai system is the typical Neo system. The ninja system focuses entirely on ninjutsu on this one character, which is new because ninjutsu is just a general thing that you can just skill tree and you can ignore if you want to. So sometimes you use some ninja shit, other times you don't, and it's up to you to like play with that back and forth. But that's about it. Yeah, rated. 9 out of 10. I fully finished the game, so I can't give it a proper review. It's more like just hey, this is the first week of me playing the game kind of review, and I didn't really put that much time as I wish I did in it. So that's about that. So yeah, 9 out of 10, pretty good so far. Solid. I expect it to be a kind of a masterpiece when I'll talk to you in about a year or two from now with respect to that. Yeah, so that's that. On to Fallout Season 2. So yeah, we continue from the events of Fallout Season 1, the ending where Lucy's dad escapes and he runs to New Vegas where Mr. House is running the situation, and you have a lot of backstory with respect to that. But then they dovetail Mr. House with the Ghoul's character, his backstory, and then we get to see what happens to the brother, the Steel, and their whole shenanigans, and yeah, they just continue more with it. This season's pretty good. I really wish you watched it because I can just discuss little spoilers or everything that happened. But all I'll say right now is that I don't think it's as good as season one because it is a little too insular, a little too. You had to play the games to kind of appreciate it as much. I'm not sure if anybody will like it as much because you didn't play. If you never played the games, I'm not sure if you'll enjoy it as much. We have a couple of really great reveals into this season. Something involving some ahead, is all I'll say. And a flashback is like, okay, it makes sense why this technology works this way, at least in the context of the narrative. And yeah, I thought this was a pretty good one. This is not as good, but then they tease something amazing at the end of season two, which is involving Colorado. That's all you need to know. That's pretty good. But yeah, we get some great armor. We get if you know who the NCR is, a lot of great homages to them because it's a supposed big reference. They reference a lot of New Vegas in this. If you like New Vegas, you'll like New Vegas. And then they hint at a bunch of other things involved with the narrative and what's going on there. As I said, the ending, the big reveal at the ending is like, okay, it's kind of a gut punch, but I expected that to happen somewhat. I wasn't surprised, but like, yeah, okay, that's where they're going with it. And I just thought this season was a little fan services, but still good. Like, still gives a good moral scenario involving, especially involving Lucy, because she has a couple of rough things happen to her. You get to see her character weaknesses, quote unquote. She had to see her involved in addiction. She had to do something kind of rough, and then she had a big moral choice involved in the narrative at the end, which is real typical Fallout. And she was the heart and soul of the season. That it really worked. But they had a big fight with the Brotherhood at what do you call it? I forget the characters. Maximus. He had a great, this really kick-ass NCR power armor fighting the Deathless. I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. And yeah, they just explain everything and then reveal like what really going on, who doing what and why, and the kind of the ultimate evil string pullers of everything, which is not a surprise. If a slight spoiler, it's the Enclave. They always behind everything anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought this was it's for the fans. It's if you really appreciate the games, especially New Vegas, you'll like this. But I'll say it's just not as accessible as season one was. I thought season one was much more open and accessible to get you dual. But I suppose once you're into it with season one, you'll be fine and you'll enjoy this one as much. With it, I thought this was a pretty good one. I wish it was a little more accessible as it is. I'm nice about it. They make it work for what it is, and yeah, a lot of the big reveals. There's a great cameo at the end. I get involved with the Enclave. If you know his deep cut and who he plays, when you see the cameo, it's like, all right, that's a nice little follow deep cut to the narrative. Who the actor is. They got a nice little fan casting, little stunt casting that make great sense because the person is tied to the Fallout franchise in a deep way. So it's like, all right, cool. That's a great callback. So yeah, that's it. Season two, solid ending, solid outing, and yeah, excited for season three. I hope we get it sooner rather than later. So nice about it. And let's talk about Send Help.
Yeah,
So,
yes, please and thanks. Again, a show that I really wanted to see because Sam Raimi, back into his directing bag, right, with this one, and then also, and it's so weird, right? Cause staring at me right in the face, right, literally through the poster. Rachel McAdams, right, reunited with her after her work
right,
in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, right? Yeah.
right. Yeah. So Send Help. So this is a pretty fun, scenario. Nice dark comedy, but I thought it was a really weak script, and none of Sam Raimi-isms, I should say, none of his style and aesthetic really comes through particularly well in this, in my opinion. So what the plot is? So you have what's her name, Linda? I forget her last name, Little or something like that. Yeah, she coming up and she's like a hard worker, but she's kind of an asshole, just a kind of a stickler for the material. And what happens is that she effectively get kind of replaced by the boss because the boss have a failed son, effectively a kind of a useless failed son, nepo baby type situation where he come in and take over her job and she should take over. And so the two of them have like a kind of antagonism towards each other. But then now they're supposed to get a business trip. I think it's Thailand, and basically they get stranded somewhere in the Gulf of Thailand in this island, and the fella had a badly injured leg, and that's where the whole scenario goes in, and the shenanigans ensues. And this was kind of a missed opportunity in my opinion. Like I really felt like I didn't really get Raimiisms. I didn't really get any of that coming out of it. I think the script was kind of bad. It was fun enough, but like yeah, I forget who wrote the script, but it's like two not great script writers, and I'm trying to remember who it is off the top of my head. I think it's the guys who wrote Freddy vs. Jason, I think. Oh gosh, what's the two guys' name? There's a right, Sofan Shannon. That's what I'm trying to remember the name. Yeah, Sofan Shannon.
Okay. What did they do? What?
They did yeah, Freddy vs. Jason. Yes.
Okay. So so it's another like winking at the camera type of show.
Right.
Okay.
And so you think on paper you think on paper they would do get better material. But yeah, I thought these guys they kind of not really great writers. I think they did the Baywatch. Remember that Baywatch 2017 I think 2016. They did that and that was terrible.
Oh yeah, hated Baywatch. Like dude,
Yeah,
like Dwayne Johnson, Zac Efron. What were you
yeah.
doing? Why?
Yeah, so yeah, the whole thing kind of just missed the point, and it's mostly because I think about the thing is I thought Raimi would have punched this up and make it work now. It would have been his style, but it's really not his film. It don't feel like his film, and that's my main takeaway. But the premise is great. Like the two I forget the guy's Dylan O'Brien. I think he's the other guy who played against McAdams.
Yes.
Yeah, the two of them good. Like they were bouncing off each other reasonably well. But it's a damn shame that the script could be a little smarter and make it work.
Right, but
as it
if
is.
if I gotta stop you for a bit, no, because people
Sure.
have been praising this movie since it dropped. It's
Oh,
like, oh my
right,
god, Sam Raimi returned to form, doing really
right.
dark humor and all that kind of stuff, blah blah blah. So it's like, is it that the movie was just overhyped or something like that? Because you telling me
I think
that it
a little
was
bit. I
not
mean,
as great as I
yeah,
thought it was gonna be,
yeah, yeah, it's more hyping up. It's more hyping up the precedent of Remy, as a good thing. But I just didn't get that from the film at all. At least not enough. Like it had a couple little camera motions and thing. You look for it. Yeah, okay, you find it here or there. The usual some of the signature stuff is there, but like not enough in my opinion. And I don't know. I know this surprisingly fell flat for me. Like I don't hate it. I didn't think it was like real trash or anything like that. But I was just generally underwhelmed with the script. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like it have a good premise, but I just think the execution wasn't great. And that's how I feel about that. Again, I really wish I could have sat down and talked to you about it. But it had little good cameos. I think we call him oh gosh, Allstate now. Dennis Haysbert. He's in this.
Oh,
He's
okay,
kind
he
of
he
like
was in that too.
a
Okay,
little
okay.
a little part that was okay. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I just not get it. Of course, you have a Bruce Campbell cameo. Um, but I don't know, like it was funny enough. The two of them bounce off each other, so I could see why people like it in that way. But I find the script was just kind of clumsy and just don't really work for me. As it is written, yeah, I gave it like a 6 out of 10. I really wish this was smarter. I think I was just expecting more from Sam Raimi. Like if this wasn't Sam Raimi and it was just some pay for hire director, and then I would be like, okay, this was alright and kind of fun. But like for somebody like Sam Raimi, we were expecting something on the level of Drag Me to Hell or something like that. It's like, all right, well, it's fun enough and have enough twists and I had enough fun with it. But like, yeah, I was just kind of underwhelmed to be honest. But yeah, 6 out of 10, something, fine enough, but for Sam Raimi, a bit of a letdown. So that's how I feel about that.
Okay. Well, I guess I will, wait until it comes out on digital because
Right.
I really do want to see it, right? And I
Yeah,
know
I'm
people
not
already
judge for
praising
yourself.
it and whatnot. So, I
Right.
don't know. Maybe for all I know, it may end up being an honorable mention, or for all I know, it might be a best stuff, right? But I do
No,
appreciate your opinion on it, though. Like, just not
yeah, I don't give it. I
buying
don't give
into
it
the
a
hype
second.
now.
Yeah, no, I'll have to give it a second look to see if I missed something or I not like it. It had movies like that where first time I watch it and care for it, and then the second and third time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'll see what the movie about, that kind of stuff. Probably a perfect example in recent memory would probably be like Nope. No, Nope, I didn't care for Nope
Yeah,
the first time.
good example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't care for Nope the first time I watched it, and then the second and third time it's like, alright, I get it now, it working. And I had a couple people explain it to me. I was like, yeah, okay. So it's probably one of those examples. I mean, I don't. It's Sam Raimi, so I don't want to sell him short. That wait till I'm missing. But like first time, I really didn't enjoy it as it is right now. So like, is that
All right. Well, in my case now, because I really wanted to talk about an actual movie, right? I checked out The Perfect Neighbor, right? I finally checked it out yesterday, time of us recording this. And the main reason why I wanted to check it out is because it was nominated for best documentary feature, right? So what it's about, right? So I have, this is not really a spoiler, but for those like me who went in completely blind, and just seeing the story detail, well, I'll just recommend to not hear this section of my review, right? But if you just want to know what it is about, then yes, I have to spoil this, right? So apologies in advance, right? So it is based on an actual incident that took place in Florida, right? On June 2023, right? Where a black woman and mom, right? Well, single mom actually, right? Was shot in front of the house of her neighbor, a white woman by the name of Susan Lawrence, right? And so I'll just say that is like the main
yeah?
spoiler, right? That's the
I
premise. That's what's going on.
I swear I watched this. I swear I watched this when it came out. Is this woman who's just this top tier apex Karen effectively?
Yes.
Correct.
I like how
Yeah,
you say that apex. She
correct.
is
Yeah,
to the point that there are kids like just neighborhood kids, right, who live in the same street as her, calling her a Karen, like straight up calling her a Karen, right? But yeah, what drew me in from the jump, right, is how it's shown, how it's staged, right? It's shown almost entirely through body cam footage. And ever so often you will see like just establishing shots of like the town. You will see like roads and cars or whatnot, and you'll actually see footage from like news reports and stuff that took place after the murder, right? So yeah, the show itself moves in a chronological order. So you see what happens. You see at the very beginning where you see Susan just being a problem, right? And it
Right.
starts off kind of innocent in a way, right? Where it's like, oh, these kids, they just making noise and they're in my yard and I don't want them by my yard and I'm trying to get them away, but they're just being unruly, right? And they go into their parents and complain to me, right? So it comes off like that at first, right? And you see her constantly call the police, like, listen, I talk to these kids, I talk to these parents, blah, blah, right? But then slowly but surely, you start to realize that she's not all that right in the head, though, because there's a couple of incidents that take place that had nothing to do with the kids or whatever, right? That kind of show that she kind of off she rocker, right? And also borderline racist as well, even though I do like that the show doesn't like blatantly put that in your face, right? But there are a couple of people that kind of say, yeah, she was saying the N-word and blah, blah. There was this one moment where she states why she used the N-word at a certain point, and I literally like just flip the middle finger like just in front of my TV screen, like, fuck you, right? For saying that, right? But anyway, and it just got to a point now where this kid, right, he was just playing with his friends, and a certain item of his was just, I don't want to say stolen, but it was grabbed by Susan, right? He just sort of left it there, and she just grab and take it, right? And he asked for it back, and they quarrel and whatnot, right? He went and told the mom. Mom came by the house and just start banging on the door, banging on the door, banging on the door, banging on the door, right? This is my second and last spoiler I have to give, because this will add further context into what the show is actually about, right? So Susan, who is in fear of being attacked, right? Of this very angered woman barging into her house, right, with the intent to harm her, right? She has a licensed firearm on her, right? She is in the house. The door is closed, and there's the there's the kind of like glass door, that sort of glass door that's in front of the wooden one, right? So she's like banging on the wooden one, right? And Susan, in her infinite wisdom, fires at the door itself, hitting the mother. And she dies as a result of those gunshot wounds, right? And you can imagine how the children react to that. And that moment, no lie, brought your boy to tears. It was just so hard to watch, right? And what this show actually is about, right, as I jump into the review here, right? It touches on the stand your ground laws, right, which were implemented in, Florida's law, right, where basically, you have this gun, and if somebody attacking, if somebody like have the intent to attack you or come into your home, you have every right to use it, right? Once you are, at least this is assuming these are the rules, right? Once you are in your house, you know what I mean, you have the right to use your gun however it is you want to. But the problem that is presented here is that she said that she did this out of fear, but eventually it was all about anger, because you see from the jump, she had an issue with this particular woman and her children and how they were making noise and being unruly and all that kind of stuff. And then when you delve deeper into what was really going on, it's like, no, it's not like she owned this particular area where the kids were, running around and playing and whatnot, right? She just assumed, because she is this tax-paying white woman, that, this entire area, this, surrounding she house belonged to her, or at least the area in front of her house belongs to her. So nobody should even be on that area of land without her say so, right? So it's just all that this sort of lead to this particular moment where, yeah, even though she reacted out of fear, in quotes, no, it was just straight of you just being angry at this black woman for, talking down to you for literally months, right? Because you see this event play out over the course of some months, and then, the event happens, right? And, yeah, I mean, this was just, terrific documentary, boy. Just gut punch after gut punch. Just that moment with the kids reacting to this mother's death, boy. That broke me, boy. That really broke me.
I think most of it shines because of the whole. It relies entirely on cameras. You're going to use a lot of
body cams.
Police body cams as well. All right. And
yeah.
All right. That's it. So that's the thing. I mean,
and that was done
from the perspective. It's from the perspective of the police, so it doesn't really vilify the police necessarily. Right?
That's right, and that's another thing that I really admire about the film, right? It shows the police like they are just spectate, they are just reacting to stuff, right? And these are actually some like really professional, very reasonable police, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
They show up, they ask questions, they being kind towards the kids. They're not like trying to intimidate them to spill the beans on what Susan did or what their parents did or all that kind of stuff, right? So it's just how it shows all these different angles in terms of what happened. It shows it from the
Right.
kid's perspective, from the parents' perspective, shows it from the police perspective, also show it from Susan's perspective as well, right? But yeah, just in terms of the timeline framing of the story, how they rely on, body cam footage, and then also to audio footage as well too, right? Because we hear interviews, we hear like, police reports and whatnot. Yeah, it's just done so well, right? There's, some music in the background, very tense, and just the way how it's all structured and put together was great in my opinion. And this was a story that I didn't even know about, but I'm glad I did, right? And as a wrap up here, right? So for me, even though this is like this is the only nominated film that I saw in this category. I am kind of rooted for this film to win because I think that this film is very significant. It's very important. It's something that needs to be shown. It needs to be experienced, right? That being said, similar to the last two films that won over the past couple of years that I reviewed and I praised, and they both won best documentary feature. Yeah, this is the type of show that you only want to see once, and you kind of don't want to see again because of just how rough the subject matter is. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I can't honestly think of any flaw with this. But the reason why I'm
Right.
going to give this a strong 4.5 out of 5 as opposed to a 5 out of 5 is this is a show that I really don't want to see again, Trey. You know what I mean? It just hit me in the gut in the right ways, especially that moment with the
Right.
kids and their reaction to their mom's death. Boy, man, tears flowed when I saw that, right? It's one of those things that you know is going to happen there, but when you see it, boy, play out in real time, it's like, God, boy, you know what I mean? And it's just the circumstance of it all, the situation of it all, what she did, right? And how she could have just easily come and say, well, this person was coming to attack me, right? What was I supposed to do? That's the heart of the show, and how that law, that standing ground law, could be exploited in such a way. So yeah, a show like this needs to exist, right? We need to, be aware of matters such as this, right? Even though it's very uncomfortable to see and experience, right? So yeah, even though it's a film that I honestly don't see myself watching again in a hurry, I can't recommend this movie enough, man. I absolutely enjoyed this.
Right.
Had I seen this last year, this would have been in my best stuff for sure. But yeah, I am currently rooting for this to win the best documentary, right? And lastly, I don't know if I will even find the time to watch any other film in that category. I do plan on watching a few more nominated films, before the Oscars. Like case in point, Marty Supreme, which was supposed to come out last week on digital. Finally coming out, right? Like, oh God, boy, had I seen that last week, you know what I mean? I would have been talking about that with you right after we talk about the show here, right? But, I guess we have to wait until, after Carnival, right? Because we're going to take a break around that period, right? But yeah, The Perfect Neighbor is on Netflix right now. Definitely check it out. Yes, the subject matter is very rough, but yes, stuff like this, I would argue, is you need to be aware of, right? And is documentary films of that nature that I think are shoo-ins for winning the Oscar, right? So yeah, at the moment I'm rooting for The Perfect Neighbor to win Best Documentary Feature, and even if it doesn't, I still highly recommend checking it out, man. It's absolutely worth checking out.